of handmade business can be tough when trying to monetize what you love. We've got truth bombs and motivation to help you find your way through. Passion to profit, let's start today, 'cause the world needs what you create. Tune in right now, it's your shot to learn how to be a handmade boss.
Hi everyone. So today is going to be an interesting one and kind of off topic, but not really. Sometimes when we are looking at how to grow a handmade business or how to just grow a business in general, right? We are always looking at, the strategies and what to actually do and the very practical businessy things. But actually, I have really over the last year started to take a more holistic view of everything that encompasses growing a handmade business. Something that I've learned myself, especially over the last year, is that if you have one area of weakness within your life, and I say weakness, something that you're looking at and thinking like, could do better at this, or this area is really bothering me, I'm feeling a way about it, I'm feeling upset, angry, unnerved, anxious, I don't know, insert thing here, it will affect every other area of your life. And I used to compartmentalize quite a bit and kind of say, this is this and this is that, and they're all very separate, but actually they're not. And something that I have found some struggles with is in the social life department, in the friendship department. Now I know a lot of you are probably like, oh, Steph, like you're a really outgoing person and you sound really nice and I'd love to be your friend. And I love you for that. And that's very, very sweet. But this problem specifically relates to people who are already in your life, that are kind of your circle whilst you're building a business, whilst you're scaling your business. And even maybe there might be some people listening to this who have kind of gone through this and maybe they're actually not left with a lot of friends and they're thinking, okay, I need to change my friendship group, but how do I do that? How do I make friends? Like, it sounds like such a bare basics things. And sometimes you feel really insecure about, I don't have a lot of, big friendship groups and a lot of people in my life, but actually I have a few very, very special people in my life and very, very close people in my life. And yes, in the past 2 or 3 years, I've had to let quite a lot of friendships go. And I'm going to kind of explain a little bit more about that, obviously without naming names, because some of them might be listening. But the bottom line here is that this is something that we are not taught. I feel like we're not taught in school, or I certainly wasn't, how to make friends, how to be social, how to have a good social and friendship hygiene. And I feel like that's what this episode is going to prompt you to kind of do is, we talk about personal hygiene, we talk about spiritual hygiene, financial hygiene. What about being hygienic in our relationships and our friendships, right? So as they say, we are the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. And that obviously can be friends, it can be family, it can be whatever. But that in itself, I have proven to be true so many times. So this is where I would urge you to just kind of think about the 5 people that you do spend the most time with and have a little think about, do their values align with your own? Are they wanting to get to a place that you want to get to as well? Do they have the same sort of goals that you have? Are they the kind of people that you want to have along for the journey? If you're looking ahead at the 6-figure version of you, do you still see these people by your side? You have to be very, very careful to not be friends with the wrong people. Okay, because it only takes a flippant comment or, something said in the heat of a moment, in a very nonchalant way, for you to hold on to that and use that as internal dialogue for you not to take chances, for you not to embrace your creativity, and for you basically to just kind of shrivel away and not do all these things that you really want to do. Now, one thing that I know we all have to be better at is to move away from the people pleaser. And people pleasers are those who will put other people's needs ahead of their own. An example from my life is doing yoga really helps my body, it helps my mindset, it helps everything. And when I'm leaning into my people pleaser era and I'm kind of like, oh, you know, I'm going to move this around. I'm going to kind of remove this out of my day in lieu of doing something for someone else. I immediately know then that that is my people pleaser, and that needs to stop, because at the end of the day, like if we're not filling up our cup before we're starting our day, then we're going to start the day in a really icky way. We're going to be moody. We're going to be very flat and very meh and not really know why. And that is a big red flag. And that is something that I would look to those relationships that are maybe making you feel like you have to please them in order for them to be in your life. And I'm not just talking about friendships either. I've had to do this with family members too. And I am finally at this point where I am not afraid to cut off a family member. And I have done that if, you know, it has gotten to the point where they're not respecting my boundaries, the hygiene, the friendship hygiene, the relationship hygiene, the respect hygiene is just not there. And I've kind of gone, thanks, but no thanks. And I think that people pleasers often, certainly from my point of view, do approach relationships in a very quantity over quality mindset. And that's certainly what I was doing. And my people pleasing almost came from a very egotistical place where I was like, if I have a lot of friends, I'm going to be popular, I'm going to be awesome, people are going to love me. And I got a pretty rude awakening, really, when that didn't pan out how I wanted it to. And when I did kind of focus on the quantity of the relationships that I had, I actually ended up finding out that, you know, people weren't as nice. And it really did affect the growth, not only of my business, which I know seems like a very kind of side note thing to this, but it's important. You know, our businesses are important to us. There's a reason why we are creative. There's a reason why we do all of these things. There's a reason why we're building this thing. And if you are kind of people pleasing and sacrificing those things that you want to do, those goals that you're working towards, all those kinds of things, then that is a people pleaser coming out in you. And you have to wonder whether if you stopped doing that, would this person still be there for you? So when you really put a disconnect and some distance between you and the people-pleasing version of ourselves, which I believe we all have, then after some time, what will happen is certain friendships, certain relationships will start to fade away. People will say, you've been really distant towards me lately. Is everything okay? Or I've noticed that you've not been yourself recently. Are you sure we're okay? You know, and there is a lot to be said for just saying, no, I've actually just changed the way I'm holding my boundaries, and I'm doing some personal work on me. So I'm fine. Thank you for checking, but nothing's kind of going on. I think on this note, it's really important to say that, and this is something that I learned as well, is that friendship endings are supposed to happen. You are not supposed to have the same circle of friends that you did way back in junior school all the way through to now adulthood, assuming that's who is listening right now. But you're not supposed to have the same friendship group your entire life. You're not supposed to never go through a friendship ending or a friendship breakup, which I hate the word of that because it sounds so dire, but you are supposed to do those things. You are supposed to break up with friends. You are supposed to end things with friends. And I'm not saying it in a major dramatic way, but it might just be as simple as kind of restricting the amount of time that you spend with them, putting your boundaries in place, and just letting things fade away. And I must say, I am someone who's very black and white, and I really struggled with this. I really struggled with I want to either know if you're in or if you're out. And it wasn't until I was actually doing some kind of thinking and making notes on doing this that I was like, you know what? That's on me. That's a very like compartmentalized version of my personality that wants to kind of say you're either in or you're out. So it's really important to kind of note that and kind of just embrace and accept that there's no reflection on you if your friendships are designed to fade away. At the end of the day, like that is the purpose of life. Like you are designed to adapt and change and grow. And if I said to you, are you still into the same things that you were into 5 years ago or 10 years ago? You'd say, no, I used to like this. I used to go out and do that. Like this used to be my everyday life and now it's not. So it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? That, your people who are around you, your circle, are going to change as well. And that is no reflection on you. That is no weakness on you. That is just how things go. When you're not a people pleaser and you are someone who is so confident in who you are, you're being authentic, you have friendship standards, you have all these things that you are doing and really stepping into, and it does take work, it takes commitment, it takes dedication. Less people are going to want to be friends with you. And again, this is something that I learn a lot. And people who are the kind of people who want to be friends with people pleasers who have no boundaries do so because it's easy and it benefits them. Okay. So less people are going to want to be friends with you because you're not that, doormat of a people pleaser anymore. And it's not easy to manipulate you, I suppose is the right word. I think I probably can't think of any other word, but you're easier to kind of control and be able to mold the relationship to fit around them. So it's natural that less of these people are going to want to be in your circle. And surprisingly enough, it might mean that some current people that are in your circle might begin to fade away. And again, that's completely normal. There's also a lot to be said for having the right energy when it comes to approaching relationships and friendships. And I think that the same way as you would in a kind of romantic relationship, you cannot approach it with this, I need someone, I need a friend, I need this, I need, you know what I mean? It's almost this, the same with sales as well. Does anyone notice that when you're like, I need sales, I need sales, I need sales, the minute you kind of go, oh, I'm going to give up, or you detach from it, then is when you start to get sales. I feel as if you come with that desperate energy in doing anything in your life really, but especially friendships, you almost attract the wrong people who, yes, they are a relationship, they're a body, they're a person to talk to, but it's the wrong people. So I think the minute that you declare that you're okay being on your own, you're okay being independent, you're not making room for the wrong people to fulfill your ego to make you feel good, I think that is when you start to attract the right people, almost when you're not looking for them. I think that overall, the more selfish you are, the better. Because, and I really want to kind of really reverse the way we think about being selfish. Because when someone says you're selfish, it's often quite an insulting thing to say. And it makes us feel like we're not considerate of others. And by the way, that's not what I mean when I say someone's selfish. You know what I mean? But being selfish, I actually think is a really important trait because you are aware of how full or empty your cup is. And I think it's important to be really aware of that. If you're giving from an empty cup, you're not going to be showing up in your best self. Okay. You're going to be yelling at your kids. You're going to be losing your temper. You're going to be doing all these things. And quite often I do see that the people that are doing all of these things are doing so because they're not being selfish enough. And they're not saying, I need to do this, I need to do that. Please allow me my boundaries. Please allow me my time to do this. Please leave me alone for 5 minutes. And there's lots of ways to be more selfish and be more almost like self-obsessed, but in a good way. And I really want to, and I know that I'm going to get some people right now who are thinking, oh my God, Steph, no, being selfish was awful. Like I was brought up by a selfish parent. I had a selfish relationship. I had a selfish sibling. It was awful. Hey boss, it's official. The HBSA has officially opened its doors for the very last time in 2024. Now, if you have heard of the HBSA, you've heard me reference it and you're thinking, I want to join, but I want to join at the best time when I get the best value. Well, my friend, now is that time. So up until the 22nd of October at 8 p.m. UK time, if you go to handmadebosses.com/HBSA sell HBSASELL. That's HBSASELL. That is where you can get the best deal that we have going on for the HBSA right now. And that includes tons of bonus goodies, tons of extras, lives, extra masterclasses, and all the good stuff that you need. Okay. So if you've been back and forth about joining, now is your time, because this is the very last time the HBSA will be open in 2024. But I want to separate being narcissistic and non-compassionate with being selfish and having boundaries. I think they're two very separate things. And having experienced all of those things, I can say that from my own point of view that they are very different. When you become friends with someone, you are ultimately letting their energy seep into your life, and that's a really important exchange. That's like blood brothers level of exchange. A lot of people don't really think of it like that, but I think a lot of you will probably know what I mean. Think back to a time when you've hung out with someone, you spent time with someone, friend, family member, whatever, and you've come away feeling incredibly tired, incredibly drained, like you need a hot shower and a nap. And then think about a time when you've hung out with someone and you've come away feeling energized and happy and motivated. And when you think of the differences, I think then you start to consider that energy is a massive thing. So when you're being friends with someone, you have a relationship with someone, you are allowing the energy that they have, the approaches that they have to come into your everyday life. Now, I'm not saying that friends have to show up being 100% happy all the time, because obviously we all go through stuff. It's fine. That's what the two-sided relationship is. Okay. But sometimes when somebody likes you, that is not a compliment to you. I used to think this up until quite recently, actually. If somebody liked you, if someone was like, "Oh, Steph, you're really funny, or you're really this," I used to be like, "Oh, thanks." And it used to be it really used to inflate my ego. But now I'm almost like that. It just has no effect on me, because I have been in a relationship, friendship, where they have kind of showered me with compliments and they like you and they're this and they're that. And then they're actually doing it because they want you to open up. It's almost like prying open an orange, they're peeling back the layers, they're kind of complimenting you and stroking your ego and pulling back the layers, only so they can get to your center and literally just suck the life out of you. And these people are often those who are jealous. They want what you have. They are those who feel like they can't, they're so jealous and frustrated with wanting what you have that they have no choice but to kind of be close to you, and they'll force the issue. I think probably a lot of you can relate to that. But when someone is showering you with love and affection and it's a little bit over the top, be aware of that, because that's a huge red flag for me now, because I've learned the hard way that if people are like that in the beginning of a relationship, you're kind of I don't know. This has given me red flag energy right now. So here are some friendship standards that I adhere to now. I'm going to be honest, I'm not 100% on these all of the time. It really depends on whether it's a quick message back and forth or whether it's a heated or an in-depth voice note exchange. You know what I mean? It's very hard to keep these in place all of the time, but there's certainly something that with every interaction you should kind of keep within your brain at some area. Okay. So the first one is I have to be able to be myself. And I know this is really oh, be yourself, but as a people pleaser, we find ourselves molding our personalities and molding how we behave and molding our thoughts and molding our opinions based on what it will take to get someone else to like us. And I have just flat out stopped doing that now. And I started, I suppose, really doing this a couple of years ago when I decided I was not the kind of person that wanted to go on a night out and drink. I just was not that person. I don't know why I did it. I did it for other people to like me, to think I was fun, to enjoy my company. But I started kind of going, I don't like this. I don't like how I feel. Why am I still doing this? So I just completely cut drink out of my life. Now, that's not a health thing. That's just kind of, for me, I was like, I just don't really like this. I don't like how I feel. I don't like this. So I actually just kind of stopped doing that. And I'm going to be honest, it did actually affect how some people thought of me. And I think now some people like do think that I'm a stick in the mud, and there are certain friendships in my life that people do like to go out and have a drink, and no shade on them. But I feel like ever since then, I've kind of not been invited to these gatherings where people are drinking or they are doing things. And I have had comments. I'm not going to lie. I have had comments, and people kind of go, oh, well, you're boring and you're this and you're that. And it kind of just brings me back to my original point where I'm like, hey, I'm not gonna, these walls are not coming down. Like, these boundaries are not coming down. If you have comments and things to say about them, then that's more on you. That's not a me thing, And I think also as well, the second kind of thing that I try to adhere by is the matching the energy with what the person is bringing versus what I'm bringing. I think, and I have had friends in the past where I've been very upbeat, I've been very happy, I've been very like, oh, let's go for a nice day out. And then the person has been very like, and very drainy, and like, think of sadness from like inside out. And that was how they talked all the time, even when they were happy. And their body language, their energy was that of everything is crap and everything sucks and nothing ever goes my way. And me being me, obviously I tried to help them. I tried to coach them through it. I tried all these things for years, and it never made a scrap of difference, because that's just who they were. And now I'm like, I don't do that anymore. That's not my thing. I'm not there to fix someone. I'm there to have a relationship and have shared experiences and create core memories with someone. I'm not there to fix someone. Of course I will help friends, and I really do put myself out to be there for people who would be there for me. And that leads me on to my next point, is that it has to be a two-way street. I cannot stand it when you don't message someone for 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever, and then you'll message and say, are you okay? Like, you haven't heard from you in a little while. And their first comeback is, well, you didn't message me. I'm just like, that should not be the case with friends, with real friends, with people who are on your vibe. Because at the end of the day, it should not be a point scoring system. I suppose that's another boundary, but I don't allow people to score points. I don't allow people to kind of say, well, I did this for you and you didn't do this for me. And like, I don't vibe with it. I really don't. And if I get that vibe from someone, I'm like, no, thank you. And that is probably one of the main things that has really caused me to kind of, I suppose, I don't want to say lose, but friendships to naturally burn out, fizzle out, and come to an end. Because I'm not about that tit for tat thing. I am about, hey, if I'm thinking of you, even if you didn't respond to my last voice note or my last message, I'm going to message you. I'm going to voice note you. I'm going to say, hey, how's it been? I'm not going to sit there and go, well, I just don't want it. I am an adult and I don't need teenage relationships. I think my next boundary is being able to be open and frank about the dynamic of the relationship. I hate it when I hear people talking about a friend that's getting on their nerves and they're saying, oh, yeah, but I know that if I say something to her about that thing she said a couple of weeks ago that really upset me, it's going to be a big problem, or she's not going to like it, or she's going to get upset. And part of me just kind of thinks, if we can't be honest with our relationships about the dynamic of the relationship, it kind of sucks. It's kind of not really worth it. Because the minute one of you, and it goes both ways, the minute one of you says something wrong or puts a foot out of line or a toe out of line or says something that upsets the other person, you should be able to say, you know what, I love you. And I know, look, you hardly ever do this, but this thing you said, it hurt my feelings. I'd love for you to give me a little bit more context around it, or tell me what you meant by it, or if there's any malice. 99% of the time, the person goes, oh my God, I am so sorry. I didn't mean this. I meant this. Done, cleared up, sorted. What I hate is this endless back and forth. And I've been guilty of this myself quite recently. In fact, I've been guilty of this and this torturing of myself. Was it something I said? Did I do this? And I hate it. I think it's just really important to be able to be honest and open. And as long as there's not a lot of problems all of the time, then just be honest about being accountable within the relationship and apologize where necessary. I would so much rather someone come to me and say, you know what, Steph, I didn't like what you said the other day about this, and it kind of upset me. And I know that's probably a reaction of something I said, but I would love to talk about it. And I'm like, yes, I'm down for that. That's a massive boundary for me. And that's something that I think just in general will cause you to have better friendship hygiene. I think a big one as well, another boundary that I have that I think, and all of these, I would love for you guys to let me know your thoughts on, DM me. Are you going to put these into your own life? Do you already have these? Have you experienced a friendship kind of fizzling out and you've often been left wondering why? Maybe this episode might answer that for you. But another thing is being supportive and being excited about each other's wins. Now, I am someone who, if I tell people I'm doing, like, for example, when I wrote my book, when I did the Handmade Bosses Planner, when I do really good launches and really good challenges, when I do all of these things, I want a friend that I can go to and say, I did a thing and it worked out. And them to go, even if I don't understand it 100%, I'm applauding you. I'm there for you. What are we going to do to celebrate? What are you going to, and actually ask questions and be interested. And I know that a lot of this might be on a interests level, but it doesn't matter if someone says to me, hey, I managed to ski down 100 meters at 27 miles an hour, which is a new personal record. I know nothing about skiing, but I'm still going to be like, girl, I got you. Let's go out for dinner. Let's celebrate that. That's awesome. Do you know what I mean? There's a big difference between someone who goes, oh, okay, fine, versus someone who's like, I need you to explain this to me, but I'm excited for you. I'm there for it. I think the last boundary as well, I mean, I have a ton more, but this is the last one I'm going to kind of go over, is being an active listener. And that means not listening. And you can see it on people's faces. Let's be honest. It means listening, not to respond, but to listen. So many times, if you're talking to someone and they start slowly opening their mouth or rolling their eyes or looking elsewhere, they're waiting for you to finish because they know what they want to say. And they are like, I finished listening to you now. I know what you're going to say, and I'm going to just respond when you shut up. And I hate it, and it's a pet peeve of mine, and I cannot stand it. It's listening in an active way rather than being like, again, like I said, listening to just respond. And I think that in and of itself is another huge boundary that I think sometimes does get crossed. And sometimes I'm like, are you listening? And they're like, oh my God, yeah, I'm so sorry. Like, I was just, whatever. And I mean, we all do it, don't we? We all look at our phones every now and again. We're all like on our Apple Watches looking at, what someone said. And I don't mind that. You know what? It doesn't actually annoy me that much because I know we're all busy people. I know we have pings and pongs coming in from everywhere. Ping from WhatsApp, a pong from Instagram, doing various things. But what I hate is when someone's put all their devices away, they're still trying to listen to you, but they cannot do it without wanting to just bark back and respond. And that just gets my back up so much. So guys, I hope that this has helped. I hope that it's maybe answered a few questions for you. Perhaps maybe you're at that stage where you're at the beginning of your business journey and people just aren't as supportive, or maybe you've had friends that have copied you, or maybe there's just something going on that you can't put your finger on. I really hope that this has helped. And if not, you know what? Next week, I'll be back with the strategies and all the fun stuff. But today and always, I really want to take a holistic view at everything around a business owner's life and ultimately how tweaking a few things in all these areas can get you to where you want to go. But for now, my loves, thank you so much for watching/listening wherever you're consuming this, and I will catch you in the next one. Thank you so much for tuning in to How to Be a Handmade Boss. And if you're eager to boost your Etsy sales within just 7 days, then be sure to join my most popular free training at handmadebosses.com/conversion. You can also find the link in the show notes as well. Keep an eye out for our next episode where we'll be continuing our journey towards handmade business success together. And until then, keep crafting and stay inspired because the world really does need those special creations that only you can make.